This is my post-fight review of UFC 322. The first fight on the prelims was Wellmaker versus Ewing. This was a surprise result. Wellmaker looking not so good. He was a highly high prospect going into the fight. The commentary was talking a lot about him in the build-up. Even during the fight, I'd say they were slightly biased towards him. Ethan Ewing, unknown. He had a fight 8 days before, I think. But he looked very good. He was the shorter man. He fights quite similar to the English fighter Nathaniel Wood. He's quite similar to him. Very good inside boxing, very slick, nice trips. But he looked the much better fighter, and that'll be a wake-up call for Wellmaker to keep pushing and developing, because he was definitely technically the worst fighter out there. He did land a few good shots throughout, but it was a good performance from Ethan Ewing. And really a dominant one. Ewing's cardio held up well. He did just have a fight camp for it, to be fair, but I would expect Wellmaker to be better prepared. It is hard to fight someone on a short notice, this new opponent stepping in. But again, it was the same for Ewing. A new opponent on 8 days' notice. He did really well. I imagine he'll be fighting again fairly soon in the UFC. Neither fighter took too much damage, but if I was Wellmaker, I would take a little time, develop some skills, and come back. Similar to what Bo Nickel did after his loss. Like, a lot of hype going into the fight for them, and then take a break. But yeah, convincing performance from Ewing. Win by decision. And I definitely look forward to seeing more of both fighters. But Ewing, yeah. I was also sure Ewing was Welsh. I've never seen a more Welsh-looking man, or a man with a more Welsh name. So, like, when he said he was from America, I was shocked. But yeah, great performance by him. I look forward to seeing him again. The next up on the card was Erin Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez. Erin Blanchfield won by submission. In round 2, I think Tracy Cortez looked good opening the fight, but got tired towards the end of round 1. Looked good at the start of round 2 again, but got tired. I think Blanchfield was probably in the process of taking over. And to be honest, I missed most of this fight, so I don't know too much about it. It wasn't the most interesting fight to me anyway. So yeah, good win for Blanchfield. I think Cortez, she is starting to struggle a bit. So, but yeah, that's about it for that fight. Next was Kopylov versus Gregory Rodriguez. Robocop Rodriguez, he's a interesting fighter because he likes to march forward and he throws with power, but he has a pretty suspect chin. He's like it's like having a cannon in a glass house. He's like highly destructive, but he's also vulnerable to being knocked out himself. So I do like the way he fights. It's always an exciting fight with him. I think this one was potentially more on the boring side. Kopylov did look gun shy. They're both 33, which I couldn't believe. Gregory Rodriguez looks about 40 and Kopylov looks about 25. It's like the opposite ends of the spectrum. But yeah, they're both similar age. But the main difference here was the power. When Gregory Rodriguez landed, Kopylov clearly felt it, and went the opposite way around. When Kopylov landed, Gregory Rodriguez kind of walked through it. No real trouble. The speed was in Kopylov's favor, but he couldn't do much with it. He couldn't get Gregory Rodriguez to respect him, so it didn't make that much of a difference, to be honest. And Kopylov was very gun shy throughout. He was flinching. Yeah, Gregory Rodriguez was making him flinch. Without even feinting, when Gregory Rodriguez would step forward, Kopylov would flinch. He would go against the fence. And I mean, from very early on, you could see the way the fight was trending. Unless Kopylov got a knockout, which looked very unlikely, you could see it was going in favor of Gregory Rodriguez by domination. But yeah, it was a low-activity fight. I expected Robocop to push for the finish, especially since he didn't respect Kopylov's power, but he didn't in the end. Just a standard win by decision, a good win for Robocop. Expect to see him again soon, since he didn't take much damage. But yeah, he's not in title contention or anything, but that is a good win for him at the end of the day. So yeah, and then next up was Nickel versus Vieira. Bo Nickel making his return after obviously losing his last time out. People had a lot to say after his last loss, which he clearly wasn't happy about. And he did go out and prove a point. His striking did look better. He got a nice early takedown. It was a slam as well. It was slick. But Bo doesn't look especially strong. Like he does get held up against the fence. For someone who's like a wrestler and such a self-proclaimed athlete, his opponents often do look more athletic and stronger. I could see him being held up against the fence by someone better in the future. But Bo was looking for the finish throughout. He fought an exciting fight. He was the better fighter on the feet. He looked better on the feet than in his previous fights, but he still does swing too many overhands without setting them up. It's not as bad as the last fight where there's that one clip where he throws like three left overhands, or is it right overhands in a row? Because the wrestlers like to do that. They like to throw the big overhands because that can be feinted into a takedown. It's a similar motion to the takedown. But he did have other shots this fight. His jab looked decent. He set up his overhand better. Yeah, but like I said, still too many of the overhands like that, like without setting them up. But definitely an improvement in the striking. The head kick was a very nice shot. He was trying to set it up throughout. You saw him go for it once or twice. It was a great shot. With a good setup. His footwork definitely still needs work in the striking department. And then he got on the mic after and was just completely unbearable as usual. He doesn't really help himself. Like he just doesn't know when to shut his mouth. He's a pretty unlikable fighter. Definitely improving, definitely better, definitely works hard. A good wrestler. I don't think he's going to be able to dominate people in the wrestling department through the UFC. So he better work on that striking. But yeah, great win. Just should have shut up or say something better on the mic. Just annoying. Just gets on the mic and says like, "Oh, I work 10 times harder than everyone." Blah blah blah. Like not something that you want to hear. It's not how you promote yourself, but his choice. Then moving on to the main card is Benoit Saint-Denis versus Dariush. There's not that much to say about this fight just because it was such an early KO for Benoit Saint-Denis. Dariush landed a very good leg kick, which was something I pointed out that he might be able to land. But it was exactly what I said. I think I said if it got scrappy, I'd favour the younger fighter with a better chin who hadn't been KO'd multiple times. Dariush obviously suffering big KOs against Oliveira and Sarukian. I was worried about his chin. He did take a long time off and have a good win against Moicano since coming back, but I wasn't trusting his chin, and he does have a tendency to get scrappy, and I just thought if it got scrappy, it would be Benoit Saint-Denis' chin who holds up, Benoit Saint-Denis' power that comes through, and that's how it ended up being. 16 seconds in, about 10 seconds in, Dariush lands a great leg kick, folds Benoit Saint-Denis. As Benoit Saint-Denis gets up, Dariush grabs the leg, a few tight shots thrown in the scrappy clinch situation, and Benoit Saint-Denis' shots just far, far more effective, so that's pretty much all there was to it. Great win for Benoit Saint-Denis. Big things coming for him. He's really putting himself up at the top of the division. Obviously, he had that great run at the start of his career, then sort of stumbled, but he's making his way back to the top now. I think he's a star that they'll be looking to promote and put in big fights. So yeah, good for Benoit Saint-Denis. If I was Dariush, I'd be looking to retire. There's no way he can be a top contender or be anywhere near a title fight anymore. And I just think chin might be gone. Don't want to linger around the sport for too long and take too many unnecessary shots or damage. So yeah, great win for Benoit Saint-Denis. Next up was Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates. This was a great fight. I predicted this one right again. Good win by KO for Prates. I think Leon started looking very strong. He was sharp. He was fast. He shot early, and the ref broke it up very quickly against the fence, which I was surprised by. The referees aren't usually proactive in breaking fights up when they're against the fence, especially if they're getting off rabbit punches, which Leon did get off a few of. But apparently for Leon, he can't do that, which I thought was unfortunate for him. Good for the viewers. It's much more entertaining to watch a stand-up fight. But Leon did look crisp. He was landing great left hands. His counter left looked very, very sharp, very fast. But even when he was landing the clean shots, he wasn't getting the respect from Prates. Prates didn't really fear his power, and you did see the difference in the power differential when Prates was landing. And Prates has this thing, when people take him down or threaten to take him down, Prates gets more urgent. He seems to get a bit angry. He seems to like after round one where Leon held him for a bit, got him down, got him against the fence once, held him there, got him down a second time. You see when he gets up, he wants to strike, he wants to walk them down, he wants to punish them for it. And that's exactly what happened in round two. Prates started finding his distance properly. His jab looked good, and the power difference was just there. Leon was definitely landing his own few decent shots, but Leon is a great striker. This was a battle between two great strikers, but Prates' power just came through. Prates was talking the whole time. He's very confident on the feet. He's intimidating. He walks his fighter down. He talks to him. It's probably very demoralizing. And yeah, in round two, after Prates came down with a vengeance, and it was a flush KO in the end. He walked him down. He caught Leon with a shot while both Leon's feet were off the floor, and your chin does not take those shots as well when you're not on the floor, because when your feet are planted, you have a base. You're more able to absorb the shot. Your chin is much better when you have a solid base and your feet are planted and your knees can absorb some of the shock. When you're in the air, there's no way your body can absorb the shot. So that's why Leon went out like that. It was very strange because it wasn't a hard enough shot to warrant like a KO like that. Like Leon's eyes were rolled up. It was like a very bad KO, and you wouldn't expect it off of a left hand like that. And it was just because Leon was off the floor at the same time. He was moving back. He bounced back with both feet while in range from Prates. Prates did move in with Prates kind of skipped in. He moved both feet in and through the left, and Leon was just moving back at the same time, and he didn't get out of there fast enough. But yeah, it was a very good win for Prates. He gets on the mic after. He cuts a good promo. His English is definitely getting better. I said the same in the press conference. He's one of the better fighters on the mic, despite not really being able to speak English that well. So yeah, he's definitely on his way to being a big star with the smoking, the partying, and yeah, no, big fan of his work. Big just his general persona. He's definitely going to create a big audience for himself. And he's definitely a future star. Leon, I don't really know what's next for him now. He needs to. I still think he's a very good fighter. I think he looks sharp, but he needs a couple of fights to build his way up. I think give him someone a bit lower in the rankings who's not as dangerous on the feet. I think another knockout for Leon now would be devastating. So if they want to try and build Leon up, give him someone who without knockout power, or someone who wrestles a bit. See if he can improve on his performances from Bilal and Brady. See if he can hold his own in the wrestling department better. But yeah, no, great win for Prates. Big things coming for him for sure. Michael Morales, who got performance of the night, I think that was probably deserved. I mean, I would have been looking to give it to Ewing, but you can't argue too much against Morales. Another round one KO. This is another fight I predicted. I said Brady swims in with punches. I thought he would get caught. I thought Morales' jab would be effective. He swings big looping shots that I thought might get around Brady's guard, especially when Brady's hands are away from his face. He likes to put his hands away from his face a lot. So this wasn't a result that surprised me. It was almost exactly how I predicted it. I think that Morales has a strange footwork and like looping shots. He doesn't look technically very good, but it's effective. He just seems to be able to get it done, and I don't think Brady's he didn't look confident on the feet. His chin didn't look good. His like as soon as he faces adversity and gets wobbled, he doesn't look as composed of a fighter. And he doesn't have the technical acumen striking. And I just didn't think he would be able to push Morales up against the fence, which is really his ballpark. I just didn't see it happening. Brady, he has his hands in no man's land a lot because when he swims forward with punches, he's trying to get his opponent up to the fence. And with Michael Morales' longer reach and power, he was just catching Brady on the end of shots when Brady was trying to work his way in. It was a great performance by Morales. He rocked him earlier on, didn't finish him, which I was surprised by. He didn't even really go for the finish. But then when he caught him again the second time, Brady didn't really stand much of a chance after that, to be honest. He does seem to have very good killer instinct and a lot of power in his hands. Those looping shots are very hard finishing sequences to defend because the shots kind of come in from behind your head. They come in behind the ears. You don't know where the next shot's coming from. So those looping shots, although I think he needs to work more straight shots in the stand-up, when it comes to finishing sequences, those are big shots, powerful shots, and very hard to defend. But yeah, so Morales wins a lot based on power. He has a strange looking style though. I mean, he's a bit of a weird guy, to be fair. Like everyone seems to know that, but his style is just as weird as his him, to be honest. But yeah, and a poor performance from Brady. I didn't expect him to do great in this fight. I think he's a fighter that is quite hard to trust in a lot of fights. Because I just thought, like, if his chin, like the way he was getting pieced up and pressured by Bilal on the feet, I just thought if Morales could get off some solid jabs and solid shots, I could easily see him finishing Brady. Just because he got standing TKO'd by Bilal on the feet, like he's not. His work on the feet really isn't up to scratch. It did look better against Edwards, but you can't just go. I don't think you can go off just that one performance and say because especially since that was like highly wrestling based. I just didn't see him being able to get the job done against Morales, and I think big things for Morales as well. He's on a big knockout streak, making his way up the division. Next, Shevchenko versus Weili. This was one I got this one wrong. I went with Weili, but really Valentina just dominated it. It was a shutout. Valentina looked bigger. She looked sharper. She had a great teep. She kept the fight at her distance. Weili couldn't close the distance. And Valentina worked at her pace as well, which is the key for her. She has like a slow, methodical fighting style. She kind of goes in, works in a short burst, gets out, relaxes for a bit. And when she keeps it at her pace, no one really beats her at that pace. So I really, by the end of round 2, I saw the way the fight was going. Weili wasn't getting near her. It looked like it was going. I mean, I said it was going to be a decision. That wasn't hard to predict. Both of these fighters do tend to drag their bouts to decision a lot of the time. I definitely didn't think there would be a finish, but yeah, Shevchenko, a lot better than I thought. A very dominant performance, especially considering she hasn't looked as dominant in recent performances. But very good fight from her, and it's hard to know what's next for Shevchenko now. I mean, Weili can move back down, but for Shevchenko, she's beaten most of the valid contenders. It's going to be hard to find more fights for her next. But yeah, great win for her. And then finally, the main event. This is another fight. I got this one wrong. I picked JDM, and Islam really, she showed up and showed out for this fight. I thought it was fairly boring, to be fair, but you can't deny how great of a performance it is, and yeah, he's undeniable, really. Makhachev now, he is quite possibly the greatest MMA fighter of all time. He shot more in the open than I thought. I predicted Islam wouldn't shoot in the open because when Jack fought Bilal, he was showing him the knees and uppercuts, but Islam wasn't scared to shoot in the open. His shots in the open, matter of fact, were very, very well timed. He was always getting deep on the hips, locking his hands, not giving Jack even a chance to defend. He had 18 minutes of ground control time, which is insane. He didn't really go for many submission attempts in that. He has this tiring style of grappling where he hangs on the opponent, he squeezes them, he tires them. but he doesn't really go for submissions or ground and pound. Like, Jack never really looked like he was in big danger of getting finished, to be honest. But he was just like, Islam was just dragging on him, tiring him out. And by the time round 4 or 5 came around, I wasn't even. If Islam had stood, I think he could have probably given Jack a very hard time on the feet. I think opening the fight, I think Jack would have given Islam problems on the feet, but by the end, with the amount of defending Jack had done, I think there's so much lactic acid built up in his arms. His arms were probably so heavy, his legs were probably so heavy that by the end of the fight, Islam could have just pretty much won the fight where he wanted. He could have stood, he could have gone to the ground. I mean, there was times when Islam did go to stand and strike with him. He's clearly felt confident in it, and Khabib would be in the corner and say, "No, wrestle," because it is they do go for the safety first method, which is boring sometimes, but it is very effective. And I mean, you have to admire the takedowns. 4 for 4 is amazing. Especially on JDM, JDM had heavy hips, good takedown defense throughout his career, and especially since he worked with Craig Jones. And I mean, Islam's top control is safety first, but very, very good. It's very hard to shift him. But I mean, it makes you think, like, how good was Volkanovski's performance against Makhachev when Volkanovski moved up the first time? Because his takedown defense, his ability to shift Makhachev off even when Makhachev was on top position, was crazy. And he's a far, far smaller man than JDM. So yeah, honestly, this part of this, I mean, all credit to Islam. It was a very dominant performance, whether or not you think it was boring. But this makes you think, for a much, much smaller man, how good is Alex Volkanovski? But yeah, no, Islam's timing on the shots his takedowns was impeccable. His striking did look fairly sharp. He did damage Jack's calf. His leg kicks were effective. I did say that Jack was heavy on his front foot and had to watch the leg kicks because Islam does tend to work those well. He's very, very good with those. But like from struggling against Dustin Poirier to this performance, I think this was night and day for Islam. I think this was a far, far better performance than Poirier. Definitely one that will help define his legacy. And then, I mean, as the fight got towards the end, in round 4, Islam took the back and got a body triangle, and pretty much at that point you knew the fight was over. Because Jack wasn't really going to be able to escape the body triangle. Islam had won the first 3 rounds dominantly, and the body triangle just drains the energy from you. He even trapped an arm. That was the one time where I thought Jack could have been finished. Jack did very well to get his arm out of the body triangle, because I was sure once you have an arm in the body triangle, you're free to pin the other arm and get a choke in. But Jack did well to get his hand out and defend the rear naked choke attempt. But he got it out very quickly, so I think that's why it didn't count as an official submission attempt. And then Jack's corner got more and more desperate as it went on. And by the time round 5 came around, they were begging for action so much. They were saying to Jack, they were kind of making him even more desperate, which he did need to be. But he came out in round 5. He looked like he had a real, like he was fired up. And that almost, as like, it was the same in round 4. It almost went against him. Like he would go out fired up. He would swing big shots, and Islam would just duck under them, level change, get deep in on Jack's hips, lock his hand, and got an early takedown round 5, and you just knew it was over then. There wasn't really any further submission threat in round 5, but just a high pressure smothering style. It's like a, I don't know, like a chainmail blanket. Like they just. It seems like once they get on top of fighters, they're very, very hard to shift. These Dagestani fighters, very dominant performance from Islam, and you do wonder what's next for both. JDM is still young; he can work his way back up. I do think he'll be champ again, but Islam, who's next for him? I mean, I think if depending on the fight tomorrow, will be what Ilya does, because if Hooker wins, I don't think there's a contender really for Ilya. So it's like, do you move him up? to welterweight for the White House card, that could be a viable option. It does give him a lot more time to bulk up to welterweight. I think Makhachev, I don't think Ilya can beat him will have much of a chance of beating him at that weight, but that would be a very exciting fight to make, big fight to make. Um, but then if Sarukian wins, you have to book Sarukian versus Topuria, and then who's next for Makhachev? There's no real contenders that stand out to me. Ian Gary is fighting Bilal Muhammad tomorrow. I don't think either of those makes a particularly interesting fight for Makhachev. If Ian Gary goes and makes a statement and knocks out Bilal, which I don't think he will, he could put himself in the position to fight next. Prates looks exciting, but not quite deserving of a title shot yet, I don't think. And I think Islam would just be a very dangerous fight. I think he would just do the same thing again to Prates. So it's a hard one to see who's next for Makhachev. We'll just have to see what plays out tomorrow night, and then we'll have a much clearer picture. But yeah, very dominant performance from Makhachev. JDM, not as good of a performance as I expected, but I think he'll be back with a vengeance. I think he will become champ again. But yeah, overall, it was a very good set of fights, very exciting fights. The last two were slightly boring, but definitely one of the better numbered cards recently. Thanks for watching. That's it.